Welcome back to an. Oh no, we just lost the cameras. All right, wave off, wave off, wave off.
No.
Edit this out. Edit this out. Post production.
All right, we'll be back in a sec. I'm gonna hilariously go back into the queue. 1 sec.
Welcome back to another exciting, high-octane, huge-pressure episode of Battletech, Gentlemen of the List. This is episode 8, and we're heating up here because our extra-light fusion engines also have structure that's reinforced in ferro-lamellar order. Yes, every episode, you need to flip a coin and decide A, heads, is it going to be Bridgerton? Or B, tails, is it going to be the Vietnam War? You never know what you're getting until about 5 seconds in it becomes really obvious what type of episode we're going to have. Let's introduce the cast and see what they're up to today. Ticking time, Bob. This is your channel. Why don't you go ahead and tell us who you're playing and how you've been?
Hello. Can't complain as far as how I've been. I'm playing Pascal LaRue, the somewhat devious, I guess, somewhat problematic ally of our friends here, who just recently threw them at a bunch of prestigious ladies in hopes that they will move up the list with them. If they won't do it voluntarily, then maybe we bring the list to them. That's the idea, and I'll sign off there.
Sorry, I lost all that high energy I had. Thomas, let's go to you.
What's up, YouTube? Me coming back with... No, my name's Thomas, and I will be playing Louis Gabrielson, pilot of the Ravenmech. Commoner by birth, commoner still. And ready to make this the Vietnam War, by God.
Fantastic. Mark, we're going to do your intro, but I want you to do it as if you were in a Reacts video reacting to Ticking Time Bomb on his channel.
Okay, alright, give me a moment.
I'm strategically doing the bit.
What's up, guys? It's the Cat's Meow Show. Today, we're looking at Ticking Time Bob's, I forget what this series is called. Gentlemen of the List. Right now, we're getting into episode 8 or 7 or whatever the fuck we're up to at this point. God, I have no idea. And today, I'll be playing Rahul Chestang, the other, problematic ally of the group, who's here to fuck around, find out, do some crime, and make some money. Let's jump right into it.
Your commitment to the bit there. Having everyone do a different style of intro was truly my worst work I've ever done. Okay, so the coin flip is already in the air as the three of you are gathered in a room with a holographically projected version of your boss, the commander of the Magistracy fortress on planet, Major Teresa Lupina. Also in the room is your analyst, investigator, inquisitor, member of the Free Worlds League, your ally, Lieutenant Senior Grade Leonia S. Lawrence. She looks like she's embarrassed for you as you see Major Lupina has that sort of signature look of superiority, looking down on you sort of deal. Also, her hologram is like above you, and she's just saying, now, I understand that you've been fielding parties and young ladies in between being investigated for massive corruption and intelligence failures. Do any of you actually remember what your mission at the outpost is?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is your mission?
Our mission is to deny Commodore thermal weapons, to try and get as much material as we can, to both bolster our forces here, and to get it back home.
Great. You're promoted. You're the new commander of the base.
What? As you wish, ma'am.
Is Pascal even there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, the shenanigans of the dating arc are done. You're actually here, and
Okay.
You had to be here because you were the commander of the base, and she was calling for a status update. And your closest subordinate and good friend immediately undercut you. Just no questionable thought. Just instantly ratted you out.
Perfect. We have a human shield once more. Objective complete.
No.
Major
Look, she asked a
Lupina,
question. I had to answer.
Major Lupina hangs up the call immediately, and Leonia again is just awkwardly looking around with this sort of feeling to her that she's like, is this how you guys run military operations? You just promote whoever's convenient at the time? She doesn't say that out loud. You just get that energy from her.
I apologize for you having to watch that happen. Normally, we go much more. We do things a little bit more formally, like observing where someone fits on the list.
Rahul just begins chuckling to himself.
I will say, my apologies, Pascal. I didn't realize that answering that question would lead to me in charge.
Oh, no apology required.
Excellent. In that case, while I have the three of you here,
Somebody
propose we
bursts into the
begin our
room,
next-
holds out a piece of paper, and says, "Excuse me, sir. I think you need this."
Thank you.
He was going to hand it to Pascal, but he hands it to you instead.
I think the bonus to the leadership going from Rahul to Pascal, to him, means that people are used to this musical chairs. He will look at the piece of paper.
That's just to be clear. That's not what you want in a military.
No.
It is not. It is not.
People not knowing who's actually in command and being used to command flexibly changing. Not good.
Indeed.
Not good. Yeah, this piece of paper is it's I don't want to call it a demand. It's kind of like an ultimatum from the magistrate across the river. Magistrate Ku Zhuangli, basically saying that it's time for your date. Like, she's waited long enough for you to get back to her about the date with her aide Wenhu, and that it's time for low-ranking communications officer Louis Gabriel to finally have that date. Like, she's basically demanding that Pascal Leroux make Louis Gabriel available for the date now, today, tonight. She's arranged tickets for a local movie theater.
Unfortunate that this can no longer happen. We have a job to do. And indeed,
Rahul comes up from
that
behind
rank.
and taps him in the back and goes, "Come now, Captain. Surely it's important that we continue to increase our relationship with the, well, natives of this planet, no?"
Our relationship is already tenuous, and this scheme, whatever it is,
And surely
really
disagreeing
prefer
and
to
going
get to
against it
work.
would be, well, hamper that relationship even further, no?
Perhaps so. Good idea. I say you go there and show this lady a good time. Though I am not in the position to actually do that, I believe you and your ability to navigate politics and nobility would be able to set this at ease as gently as possible.
Very well. I shall inform them that you are unfortunately not able to appease such a request, as you have important duties to take care of. I shall do so
Thank
in
you,
your
Rahul.
place.
That is
And then
very
he places a hand on your shoulder and goes, "Do not take it as kindness, Captain." And he just leans in and goes, "You will be paying me back for this."
quite
With that-
so.
He steps off and goes, "Well then, if you two will excuse me, I have a date to prepare for."
Enjoy.
It shall be so. When you
Yes.
become available, make your readiness known immediately for the two of you. And he turns to the other two. It is time to begin our operations in earnest. At the... What's the name of the guy with us? The non-commissioned officer?
Oh, Charles Martin?
Yes. At the recommendation of Banner Sergeant Charles Martin, I believe it's time to execute a scouting mission. Along the river, we can do our best to ensure that we can figure out where weapons are coming from, where they're going, and supply lines. Once we get a good idea of the operational sector, while surveillance is still hampered by the well, the remnants of the typhoon that ran through, we can figure out where next to actually operate. We can get as much material as we can and go from there. Any objections or suggestions?
So Leonia's looking over your proposed operations. I assume that, like, scrapbooking, you've been preparing a briefing for this mission for like weeks, and you're like super prepared for this. She's looking it over, and she points to where Firmer Weapons is on the map, and she says, "Well, it looks like the weapons plant is on the east bank of the river. Maybe we can find a fording or a crossing somewhere further north, but I have to say that Magistrate, her town is directly east of us. If we were to pass through her bridge and her territory, it would allow us to approach safely across the river. We would have a protected crossing if we had her favor to do so, of course. Just a thought. It seems strange to me, though, that these two events would happen at the same time. A renewed push to take Firmer Weapons at the same time as a demand for the eye of the communications officer. She just stops talking and stands around looking really awkward with her shoulders hunched.
Indeed. The Magistrate of Pizakmon has a interesting sense of timing. Previously, when all of the communications were wiped out by a monsoon, she had a message sent to let us know that a village was sending out distress signals, which indicates that she moves slightly faster than radio signals do. I believe that was intended to get us into combat with some sort of warrior monk. You can read my after-action reports here.
So as she's reading this all, she says, and just to be clear, the Firmer Weapons plan is way further northeast on the planet. I believe, flipping through this paperwork, it looks like we're supposed to be attacking the Aldous Industries plant on the East River bank. Right here in your original mission briefing. Aldous Industries, right here. I know we haven't talked about it in like 6 episodes, but...
I admit, the fact that it hasn't been spoken of in quite some time has led me to go for any target of opportunity. This does seem easier, and this seems better.
Yes, it could be the regular change in leadership.
Yeah, repeat. Firmer Weapons definitely seems like an end of season battle for sure. She says that, and everyone gets a nosebleed in the room for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, no, my constitution.
Perhaps
with this in mind,
getting a better look at the river itself?
I believe so, and scouting along there. With Rahul operating this diplomatic venture, I believe your suggestion... Add a character, what was her name? Because I know... Leonia S. Lawrence? Yeah, yes. Leonia. Your suggestion, Leonia, would mean that going past there would be safer, if not as subtle as it could be. But considering how long we have dragged our feet, subtlety...
Well, Ensign, I do have to say... The best mech to scout the area is actually your Raven with its electronic warfare suite. In fact, if you were to walk it along the river submerged, your sensor system should be able to give you a pretty wide range of what's going on. I'd just be concerned because it doesn't have any arms, so if you fell over, you'd have a lot of trouble getting back up.
Indeed. It's for that reason which I figured that I would not be able to attend this arranged date.
Well, perhaps if you were to walk along the western bank of the river and remain in close communications with at least one submerged armed mech with arms, I should say, who's scanning the river bed, we might be able to locate submerged mines or good crossing points.
Louis grins, knowing that leaves him out of the mix. So, right?
You don't have arms,
right? I don't. I'm trying to remember. The blackjack doesn't, does it? Not.
The blackjack doesn't have hands, but it does have arms.
Does it have arms? Okay.
A lack of hands is probably also pretty bad.
Mm.
Does Rahul's mech have hands?
Let's see
It
here. What
does.
is
It has a hand.
So
the archer.
Rahul has an archer, right?
Actually,
Yeah,
it's got 2 hands, I think.
It doesn't just have hands; it has battle fists. So it has super
Yeah.
large, extra articulate hands.
Hmm.
Well, I'd love to help out, but apparently I have a date set up.
Pascal or Rahul, would you be willing to trade duties? You are both nobles, no?
Now, what did you have in mind?
Well,
To fulfill the obligations that the administrator of Pi Zakmon seemed to have set up for me, a date. My preferred strategy? Show her a mediocre time.
You shouldn't just be yourself. Would be my advice there.
That would be mediocre enough, I suppose.
God,
But
Bob, what are you doing?
But with this in mind, it should not sour relations with one of the main obstacles to our operations, nor allow us to get into their pocket, such as I believe our previous commander was. Previous commander, not you guys, the one before we got here. With all of this said, if either of you is better suited for it, I would say that it is an important part of the operation. I would prefer a mech with hands. With that said, what mech is Leonia handling? It was the one that...
Right. So her combat vehicle has actually arrived. She is trained as a mech warrior, but she drives a tank.
Got you.
tanks famously don't have hands.
Do we have
Yes.
Do we have a watercraft? Perhaps having nearby.
You could try buying like a local boat from somebody in the village. Oh, you guys also have payment arriving. You get another 1,500 sea bills because it's been over a month.
Nice.
To get a nice big pile of cash.
Does Alexander's mech have hands? Because we've still got that.
I don't think his name was Alexander. Ernst Zimmer?
Ernst Zimmer had Alexander's mech.
Oh,
because
right.
Alexander
What
died.
Yes. What
Griffin, I believe, isn't it?
The Hunchback. Hold on. I think the Hunchback does have hands in some of its configuration. It does have hands, yes. And that is the one that you were giving to Leonia, but she is more comfortable in her tank.
Yeah, my intent before Leonia came about is to actually take that on as Louis or as Pascal. I mean, sorry.
So Leonia drives a hover tank that can float across the water, but it can't float under the water.
If it floats under the water, it's sinking. Well, hands or not, depending on which one of you is better suited to this diplomatic overture, I would say that is most important.
Well, I can be quite charismatic when I need to. I don't know. What do you think, Pasquale? Do you think you could, entertain a lady for the night?
Could I? Of course. I'd prefer not to.
Right.
I think that's best fit for you, Ro. After all the history you have with the ladies.
Right. Well then, I will prepare for my event, and the two of you shall do your best not to drown.
Indeed. Good luck in this adventure. Should you need any backup or anything, do keep in touch. I will be further than immediate communication, but I shall still be reachable via my comp.
Of course.
With this in mind, you two, with me, your hover tank is in the garage, right? With the
Yes.
rest of the mechs?
I
Then
can go
let's-
get it booted up.
Very good. I will, because I still do have the communications, I will let the people in the base know that I am the current commander, pending paperwork, and we shall get on our way.
AP, is there any issue with me taking on the Hunchback? Is that what does that take? I think there's like a.
It takes
like
a week of
Yeah.
moving your neural pattern over to it. The bigger problem is the same problem you've already had, which is that this mech doesn't actually legally belong to you, and you're
Yeah.
kind of hijacking it from going back to Alexander Piotr's house. You know what I mean? Like, you're basically stealing their heirloom thing. So, yeah, but as long as you as a commander were already willing to, so I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be willing to do it now.
Well, we can work on that in between because he's gonna need that week. So for now, he'll be in the blackjack.
So are you going to hold the op off to spend the week training for it, or are you doing it now in the blackjack?
I'll do it now in the blackjack.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Leonie is going to scout ahead because her scimitar is kind of fast, and if anything happens, she can literally just skate away. And it
Indeed.
sounds like the operation is for Louis to be up top in the Raven, watching from the West Bank, and Pascal is going to be walking along the bottom in the blackjack.
Yeah, I mean, alternatively, if we wanted to make this like less of a mech thing, I could absolutely like try and get in with those fisherman folk that I was.
You did save everyone from the weather. That is true.
Did.
And after they warned you that it would be nothing, and then it turned out to be a big thing.
They do owe us.
If we wanted to just float like a regular fishing boat, like if we really want to make this some apocalypse now, you just be on a riverboat of some kind.
So long as it can be connected to my communications module in the Raven, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, just like a regular communicator's gonna easily get to your massive electronic warfare suite, right?
Indeed.
The only issue would be that would only leave
Back as a cell tower.
only two mechs then, right? Would be available.
Yeah, if there's a battle, the scimitar and the raven are very, very light on weaponry because they're specialists.
Indeed.
Yeah, okay, so I'll go in the blackjack. Makes sense.
Okay. I would like both of you to make piloting rolls. For the Raven, the piloting roll is how well your electronic warfare is going, and for Bob, your piloting roll is if you keep yourself from drowning. Because if you trip and you crack your cockpit glass and water floods in, you die instantly.
Good to know. Let's not do that.
Now, did we start with a certain amount of piloting? I think we started at like piloting 4.
4, yes. Yep.
Yes, that's right. And which attribute is it based off of, if any?
It's just 2d6 versus a 4.
Got you.
Not integrated with star design numbers. This is an actual Battletech roll. Crazy as that might be.
8.
Okay, so you not only succeeded, but you beat it by 2 margins because you did +2/+2. Ah, that's pretty good, Bob. Ah, that's excellent. 9. So you also succeeded by +2/+2. So the
We're good at our job when we do it.
The op is a bit hasty, right? You pull it together in like 15 minutes and you launch for it, and you have a mech bay full of people who are not ready for this. And fortunately, all of your ammunition was been out in your mechs for weeks, and you definitely know, Commander, that when you get back, you're gonna have to review processes because the techs need to be ready to receive your mechs back. The radar tower wasn't ready for you guys to head out on a moment's notice sort of deal. Like, they were like, yes, sir, we're still getting the objectives loaded, so we'll provide you with radio guidance. It'll just be 2 minutes, just 2 minutes. And they did that for like an hour while you guys were just like, we're going to follow the river north. It's going to be pretty easy. It's a pretty big landmark. About an hour later, your mech computer's got a download for like a holographic overlay of where to go, and it literally is just like a blue line that follows the river.
Pascal,
Totally
I don't know
useless.
how you and Rahul managed it. Those people were sleeping at their station. Was it like this the entire time? These people are nightmares.
No, it's actually improved a little bit.
The security staff are completely on top of it, though. They've been called in for numerous incidents.
Indeed.
If you need to tackle somebody, the security staff is on it.
I've been tackled by them. They are top notch.
It has been a while. It's been months since you've had to do a grueling march like this. And you didn't have any prep for it. You didn't have anything to say tomorrow I'm going to be doing this 18-hour long march one way, and you're going to get out there and you're going to have to piss and shit in your mech and drink Gatorade in 109-degree cockpit and eat Nutribar or something.
That's why we've got catheters, and that's why Rahul is eating caviar.
Bob, you discover that there are very low-tech passive sonar receivers in this river. And what they're really supposed to pick up on is not... So they're facing up. And so they don't detect you approaching from the side, right? You're literally coming in underneath their ability to detect. It looks like they're supposed to be checking to see if things on the surface of the water and near surface. So if you were to take an emergency bridging unit of some kind, like an engineering unit, and lay down a bridge, that would be so loud that these sonars... You can do something to these sonar units, or you can just leave them in place. But there's one every kilometer.
What sort of I just don't think Louis, I think this is Louis's game. I don't think this is Pascal's game as far as doing, dismantling these things. And to mention my mech doesn't have hands. I guess I could crush them.
You can just step on them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if it's just stepping, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? It's not like they're charged to explode or anything. Should be fine. Let's test it out. Worst case scenario.
This is Commander Gabrielson. Have you tempted fate internally?
Yeah, aim to fall backwards, not forwards. If something goes wrong.
I mean, you rolled a 9, man. You easily crush these one by one.
Okay.
Just every few minutes, you got to crush another one.
Yeah. Going a little bit slower than normal, and just dealing with some kind of sensors here in the water.
Good on you. Keep them blind. Worst case scenario, they'd have to replace them. Worst case scenario, the magistrate will try to make us pay for them. So let's keep things on the down low.
For you, Louis, you're picking up some interesting data. It looks like this weapons plant, Aldous, it has a number of mechs defending it. You are picking up signals coming out of there. You're picking up seismic readings of heavy objects moving there. But you're also picking up thermal generation from big power plants outside of the actual place. Of course a weapons plant is going to show up on thermal, right? But it looks like they have erected some sort of additional power generation, and on an 8 you're also picking up remote weapons turrets. So it looks like they have some sort of, maybe it's a wall or something, and then they've run cabling from a central power generation unit to remote turrets. So they've reinforced this plant recently. Based on what you're seeing here, though, they only send 2 mechs at any time with... Maybe the shipments are full, maybe they're not. It looks like they're definitely sending out occasional decoy shipments, and sometimes it seems like the shipments that they're sending out aren't really shipments. They're the people from the factory. In order to hide who's coming and going, they get in shipment trucks and are escorted by mechs. Kind of like Area 51, how the Air Force flies people out.
Indeed.
So, just like every 6 hours, there's a shipment from Aldous weaponry, Aldous Industries going somewhere towards either Minchang or Bidan. Yeah. I mean, based on this intel that you've gotten right here, you got more intel in this 18-hour trip than any Magistry or Free Worlds League unit gotten in the entire time they've been. Of course, no one else on the planet has an E-War suite, so...
And that will be their downfall. The moment I meet someone who does, they've gotta go.
Well, your mech was created by the Capellans, who are the guys you're fighting, so...
I know.
They definitely have that technology. As we see the three of you, we've got the blackjack pulled out of the water. Like the big laser barrels on the end of its arms are like dredging. They're down at like a 15-degree angle, and we see water dripping out. The three of you are like quietly camping at like some sort of tented bivouac with big camo sheets over top of your mech so that like flights heading atop of you can't look down and see them. It's got a very like Pacific Northwest camp feel, pine needles everywhere, and we cut to Rahul living his best life. What are you dressing in to go on your date for a movie theater?
Oh, it's gotta be absolutely like some proper like stylistic officer suit. Very, very professional, but also with that sheen that only the toppest of noblemen can have.
You are the toppest of noblemen. You are royalty, technically. You are driven across the river by several like punkish private types whose job it is to drive officers, and they drop you off on the far side of the river where there is a young woman. She looks like she's early 20s, wearing a dress that's like light pink, and it has like flowing peonies across it. Very Chinese, sort of Eastern Coast deal. She's kind of willowy and demure, and she has her hair pulled back into a bun. And she's like looking around. She says, "I'm sorry. I was expecting to see Ensign Louis Gabriel. I assumed that he was approaching because I saw the officers' flags in that vehicle. Can you tell me when he will be arriving? I've been waiting to meet him for some time."
Rahul simply steps forward, taking her hand as he kneels before her like a proper gentleman.
Okay, she's absolutely freaking out that you would just grab her hand so kneel before, in this mix of Eastern versus Western politeness. Yeah. She's frozen in terror.
My apologies. I am Ensign Rahul Chastain. And Captain... Actually, no, it'd be... Yeah, Commander is the term?
Yes.
Yes. Commander Ensign Louis Gabrielson is unfortunately unable to make it to this meeting, as he had prior engagements due to the duties of his leadership position. He has sent me in his place to ensure that this most important time is attended.
She reaches into her handbag and is like shuffling to hold a pen, her handbag, and a pad of paper. And she just says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Our intelligence had reported that he was the communications officer. I didn't realize he was the commander. The commander was listed as one Pascal LaRue."
Indeed, there has been a shift in the nature of our command structure. Oh. I apologize. It seems you have not been well informed.
Please stand up. Please stand up. Thank you very much. Your chivalry does you great credit, sir. Well, I have a ticket to a movie to go see.
It would be my honor to attend in the place of my commander. Could you have me?
Alright, I now want a Riz roll, for sure.
Let's do a Riz roll.
Now,
Mark, this is so important. You've got to succeed.
I was gonna say, you can choose manually to fail this roll if you would like to.
No, his commander hasn't trusted him, and it's time for the Rizzler to do his business.
The Rizzler?
The
Jesus.
Rizzler.
The real on gods from Ohio, I guess.
Yep. Never have I been so out of touch with my own generation. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Okay, so Charisma 14, so that's a +1.
+1.
And this is Persuasion.
Persuasion.
I have 3 points in Persuasion.
So that's a +2.
It's +2 total.
For the folks at home, that's because you have to use the first point to open the skill. Okay, so with the
That's
+3
+3.
on a 7, it's a 10. Okay. She blushes very slightly and she says, well, I do have an additional. And I suppose if you would like to go on the same date that I was ordered to go on with Louis Gabriel, I would be honored to go with you, Mr. Ragoul.
It would be my greatest of honors, my lady.
We cut to like a montage of two of you going to see a movie, Butterfly Lovers. It's going to be entirely in Mandarin Chinese, which you don't speak.
No, but he knows how to fake enjoying a performance.
Right, and it's not subtitled, because, you know, everyone here knows how to speak Chinese, so why would they subtitle it? But you do understand the English words at the start of the first trailer. And before I start this trailer, I just want to say, before the stream started, I was like, damn, Thomas, I'm going to have to dunk on you twice today. And he's managed to double dodge all of the dunkings so far, because he knew the mission orders, and so she didn't have to be like, Pascal, you're fired. Louis Gabriel, you're our last hope. I'm going to promote you, even though you're terrible. Instead, he showed up with receipts and was like, oh yeah, these are our mission orders. I was like, oh, interesting. He actually knew what he's talking about. Great. Promotion. And then I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to do this terrible thing to you on your date. And he didn't even go on the date.
I'm sorry. I got a job.
Warriors aren't born immortal. They're forged in the fires of war. And what we see is a dude who is the immortal warrior, the stunt double, who has been digitally overlaid with the immortal warrior to make him look more like the real immortal warrior. When the interferes most reluctant hero is in too deep, the only thing he can rely on is the power of love. And we see this woman, she's like ambiguously in her 30s, Chinese woman. Her dress is like abnormally large. Like, I'm talking Nazgul level of like 50 pounds of material trailing behind her. She's holding a sword, like, while perfectly balancing on top of a post. She says, so, you're back again, the immortal warrior. It may have been easy to say goodbye to me, your lover, but you never said goodbye to your illegitimate son. And people in the crowd are like, oh, shocking. Then she says, while you've been raising the son of the immortal warrior, you've forgotten your roots. You've forgotten me. And then there's a harp like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And she, like, dashes into the air. Her dress is going in, like, 50 different directions. There's very clearly wire usage of, like, her flying towards him flying towards her. The two of them clash together and begin fighting in midair, hand and fist. She's using her sword to, like, throw it in the air and then catch and juggle it while fighting him at the same time. And then, like, whoosh, pow, the two of them are fighting, like, people who are very clearly like Davian stormtroopers. You know, they're like Davians, but they're like extra fascist-y, and they all have like bad teeth, and they're like, no, we're the bad guys. Yeah, it's like a Power Rangers thing. And then it's like Rambo meets Home Alone, as these two and like a 5-year-old boy are like fighting like hundreds of military troopers who are just barely competent enough to be defeated by two people who are also flirting and fighting each other, but not competent enough to defeat a 5-year-old sort of deal. And there's just all sorts of mysticism and Chinese themes going on. People are flying around, and the narrator's like, at the end of the day, the moral of the story is that the blood of the Capellan makes the progeny stronger, and that the immortal warrior likes his illegitimate Capellan son better than the son of the immortal warrior. One day, the immortal warrior will return. Immortal Warrior 7-2, The Heron and the Frog. Not available for publication anywhere outside of the Federation.
So is this like the equivalent of like a Chinese like?
Yeah, it's like a Bollywood knockoff movie that's super illegal. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But see, the thing is that the Capellans just got done having a major war against the faction of people that make Immortal Warrior. So even though people love Immortal, they can't love Immortal Warrior. So now what they love is Immortal Warrior 7-2, The Heron and the Frog. So you're sitting next to Wen Hu as Butterfly Lover starts, and she notices that you very clearly don't understand what's going on and begins whispering in your ear incredibly intimately. Not the exact translations of what's going on, but just like vibes of what's happening in any given scene. I want to know what your reaction is to that.
I think Rahul seems appreciative, and very much is that idea of the, oh yes, this is a wonderful time. In his mind, he's like, what the fuck is this shit? I don't think he's probably ever been to a proper movie theater. I think he just sees like plays and shit.
Okay, so Butterfly Lovers is the story of a time traveler from the year 3200, when the compelling Confederation has taken over the entire Inner Sphere and has united it underneath a new Star League. They are forced to send back their strongest warrior in history into the body of a 16-year-old girl. So now her job is to ensure that history continues correctly, unlike the rebellion who are attempting to make sure that the Davians win. And so her job, as you know, she was like a grungy 45-year-old combat veteran of 100 wars, and now she's a 16-year-old girl in the 30s right now, trying to avoid, like, she doesn't understand any of the pop terminology, and like 90% of it is like, oh, here's hip terms, and you know, like, she speaks in a way that she acts like she's people's elders, even though she's like half their age. So just a lot of comedy and like physical comedy involved. But there's a really straining B plot of a romance with like a guy that lives in this time period. But he's like incredibly modern day Capellan. You know, like he's like this half Chinese, half Russian guy who's totally loyal to the state, a former soldier, a combat veteran who had to leave service because, you know, he got like shot in the shoulder and he could no longer perform his infantryman duties as well anymore. He's dedicated his entirety to the state, but he's completely enamored with this woman who is like, she's more Capellan than him, and he's like, I need to be as Capellan as her. I love her because she shows me what I could be. The movie is bad. It's a bad movie, and apparently it's the first movie you've ever seen.
Yeah,
people are openly weeping in the audience.
Are all movies this shit? What the fuck's going on?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Our local filmmaking industry is very bad. Very bad. We do not have a lot of extra money for entertainment broadcasts, and talent won't come out to our nation because we will
I see.
Have you not seen movies in your Magistracy of Canopus? I understand they have a number of good medical documentaries. Also a lot of porn.
So. Oh yes, there's quite a lot of porn. But
okay, so just to be clear, you've never seen a movie.
We've never seen a movie, has seen porn.
Oh my god!
But it's like it's.
I know it's culturally
like in,
significant to your people. It's literally
culturally
their
significant.
entire. Yeah.
It's part of our culture, man. You can't
It's
take that away.
art. You don't understand.
All right. She does
Anyway.
something really bold at the end of the movie, while holding your hand while the two of you are like standing, waiting for people to shuffle past the like walkways. She says, "You have seen my culture. Perhaps one day the two of us can see some of your culture together."
I think that would be quite nice.
Now, just to be clear, she is in fact describing Magistracy porn. I just don't want to, like, she doesn't directly say it, she's just implying it.
Well then, perhaps another time we might be able to organize a different arrangement. Perhaps on the other side of the border, if possible.
Perhaps. If you would like, Magistrate Lee has set aside a restaurant if you would like to dine with me.
I think that would be quite wonderful.
We are going to cut back to Leonia, Pascal, and Louis as the three of you are eating like tins of beans beneath the open night sky, trying to keep your fire from smoking so much. You're exhausted from an entire day of physical effort. I know it seems like it's easy to pilot a mech like this, but in actuality, it's more like piloting. Yeah, it's definitely a lot more like you have to physically walk the mech and do the arm motions, is what it's actually like. So you guys are all exhausted, your muscles are strained. Leonia is just like lying down on the ground, and you can hear her chanting like, if you can sit, it's better than standing, and if you can lay, it's better than sitting. And she just keeps saying that over and over again while on her back, like stirring protein powder into like an energy drink, just waiting for it to coagulate enough to drink.
I will say that Louis, with his bones of glass, completely drenched in sweat. But despite that, he is complete focus. He is operating not off of adrenaline. That's all gone. He's being puppeted purely by pure bloody-minded stubbornness. As he goes, "Well, I think everything went pretty well. I'm good."
Just remember to stay hydrated.
How are things underwater? What's that like as far as heat and
when you were
discomfort?
underwater, it's dark and murky. It's far enough down that you can't get any natural daylight. And your mech doesn't have a spotlight, so you had to navigate entirely on sensors, which in this time period is the MechWarrior 2 or like 1990s arcade game, like blocky wireframe. And occasionally you'd be like, oh, I'm going to step beside this rock and easily pass by it. But like the wireframe of the sensor isn't detecting it right. And you'd be like, my right arm very clearly hit something underwater. And your mech is like covered in like coral and seaweed and just other shit that you've banged into. Your paint job is bad. Your paint job is like half murky green now.
Yeah, I think he swore a lot over comms the whole way there. Yeah.
You got a lot of training in walking underwater in a way that the Magistracy never prepared you for.
True. It's like everything else we're doing here.
Indeed. They trained us to pilot in like daylight straight conditions. They didn't train us to do anything involving war because we don't fight in wars.
Leonia is just like, wow, you guys suck really badly. Your military is so bad. I am sorry. You guys are terrible.
Considering how closely we are working,
I know. I get it. I'm sorry. I'm getting very fresh with you. I'm so sorry.
I can understand. It has been a long day, and despite piloting a hover tank, I imagine it is also physically and mentally draining as well. Do not worry. We will be back in base within the next day, and you can rest and recover. But this is a scouting mission. This is us doing our job well.
So while you're going through your own sensor logs, it's very tough to like pilot a mech and like sort through the sensor logs at the same time. But now that you got some time to like sit down with a tablet, you're working through it. You detect that there is so each battle mech contains what's called a war book, which is basically like the silhouette, like infrared and sensor image of every type of known military vehicle, so that when it detects it, it's like, this is a Marauder battle mech, right? You're going through here and you're seeing some really weird blips coming from Aldous Industries, and you realize that you are picking up a new war machine that has never been seen in the Inner Sphere before. This is a completely new design, which is actually very compelling. Like, new battle mechs and new tanks are incredibly rare. Basically never have. The Capellans a few years ago just invented the Raven, and now they've got whatever this thing is. It looks like a heavy main battle tank. It's tracked, and it's got 2 autocannon 10 launchers. Give it a lot of firepower at medium range. Like, it's a strong tank.
Now this is interesting. It looks like we're up against something that we haven't quite seen before. Looks like a medium to long range fighter. Can take a lot of punishment, dish out a lot too. I hate it when the enemy's clever. Granted, this is the only time it's happened.
You think it was developed here?
I believe so. The Capellans are innovative in a way that many other nations, ourselves included, are not. That's why I wanted to get my hands on the Raven. It's a new creation. Something developed. This
Do you
looks
think
like
it
it's
was
built for... Oh, sorry.
actually built here on planet, though?
I'm unsure. It's entirely possible based on the industrial importance of this planet, but I don't know.
Now,
Looks like they've... Oh, yeah?
there is something you know that no one else here does know, because you're a former Comstar member. And what you know is that Aldous Industries has a unique license that very few other, not even weapons companies period in the Inner Sphere. Like, there are truly thousands of businesses that operate internationally in the Inner Sphere. Aldous Industries is one of a handful that have a license to operate on Terra, the homeworld of humans, Earth essentially, and Comstar has the entire Terra system under complete military lockdown. They don't let anyone in there. And Aldous operates factories there that create the components necessary to do this. And from what you know, like, you're not some sort of like super genius about this. You'll need to make a roll to get further into it, but just off the top of your head, this is not a design. Like, they don't make vehicles on Terra. They don't make like war machines. They make like APCs and the things that go inside of the tanks. They produce the tanks off-world in other places.
Indeed. It's entirely possible, based off of Aldous Industries' legal status, that a lot of the developments that go into it were based off of Terra. Either old technology or new technology based around there. Where it was constructed, I can't say, but very likely designed within the Inner Spheres.
It might be worthwhile to know where this is being developed, so that we can at least report it back. Maybe they can stop this thing from being mass produced.
As soon as we can make a report, I'll report my suspicions, and if we are lucky enough to wipe it out, we can see in the black box or in any of the serial numbers where it may or may not have been developed. The designs are worth their weight in gold. No, wait, they weigh nothing. They're worth a lot. I would like to make a roll.
He smiles at that very wide smile.
So would this be...
intelligence,
Some kind of...
some sort of tech.
Could I do... Could I do pos tech?
Yes, post tech.
Post
Which
tech.
refers to the most current level of technology, which is exactly what this is.
I've got a +2 to this. That is a 12.
I watched that 6 roll over 2 and 4, and my heart broke for you. But yeah, 12 is pretty good. Okay, is there anything specifically you want to know about this machine or about the situation with Aldous?
So they are allowed to operate on Terra, which means they've got the unique ability to use Terran designs and actually operate there. But are they fully helping the Capellan Confederacy in doing this, or is this like a kind of... Is this the kind of service they provide to anyone who pays, or is it very rare?
So Aldous sells to everyone. They are a neutral entity, but they produce their tanks in the Capellan Confederation, and as a result, they supply a lot of the weapons for the Capellan Confederation. Right? Like, it's just a manner of shipping, right? Shipping, when you have to blast a hole in space using a radiation beam, is incredibly expensive. The further you have to go, the more you have to talk about things like tariffs, taxes, border crossings. Whoever is taking those weapons out has to come back home at some point, unless you're like contracting it, and that's even more expensive. You know what I mean? If you sell locally, you make more money, and as a result, all this, they don't not sell to whoever wants to buy, but it just makes sense to sell to the people who are closest. And you're literally on the planet where they make. Betelgeuse is their largest provider of heavy tanks.
I think you're right, Pascal. I think they do create these tanks here with the designs made within the inner spheres within Terra. I think the oldest industries plants here are providing a lot of heavy lifting towards the Capellan war effort.
Now this is right up Pascal's like alley. He's the, what do they call it? Like the merchant nobles to begin with. He's got business too. He's got the bureaucracy and the stewardship going on, and he's a traveler. I'm wondering if I can put together. Are we in kind of a research phase right now, or are we still sitting in our mechs?
I don't think that's unreasonable to say. If you wanted to sit down and have a think, before you make the roll, what are you trying to figure out or postulate?
Yeah, so what would be nice is to try and figure out the logistics of maybe potential targets for where they might be creating this thing, or what their movement path might look like for.
You definitely you know where they're.
Okay.
You literally walked past it within a few kilometers along the bed, and as a result, Thomas and his massive electronic warfare got not as close, but like pretty close enough that you know exactly where. And the plant was not it's not a surprise to you. You had satellite imagery from ages past. You have flyovers from your aircraft that show up every once in a while. You physically know where it's located. It's just that those photos don't match with how it definitely must be. Like, there has to be like a wall, new defenses, and a new power system somewhere out there. And if you're detecting this new tank system, they have to be driving it around somewhere. Like, you could be able to pick that up. Yeah. I think if you make a roll with intelligence, do you have something merchanty that you're looking for here? Or like,
yes.
If you have culture criminal, I would let you use it here.
I do not have culture criminal. I have stewardship, I have business, I have bureaucracy, I have culture,
business for sure.
Traveler.
Yeah, business for sure. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Intelligence as well?
Yes.
And what's intelligence 14? Is that a +1?
+1.
Okay, so I have 2 in business.
Okay, so that's a +2 total.
Okay.
Well. And look how those dice fall. That's a 9. Okay, putting that all together, you think you have a number of positions where you think things are traveling. Like, you're looking at this map of like flyovers, and you're looking at these units, and you're like, this is too heavy. They can't use this road. They can't use this road. There's no way they can get a tank and Battlemechs across this bridge. You're like taking away how they're shipping the weapons from Aldous Industries to Firmir and then getting them off the planet, right? And you're like, we can eliminate all of these spots. And you're like, I think if you're going from west to east, this is a perfect place to ambush somebody, right? Like, it gives you great cover from above. It lets you like wait for them to come through a pass, and then just wait until they're all in a single file line, and then, you know, they come in one at a time, and you're above with, and you've pretty much identified this perfect location. There is something strange about it that kind of tweaks you, but you only got a 9.
That's fair. That's fair. I guess I could trigger a reroll, but I don't want to. It's good enough.
And yeah, 9 is good enough here.
Yeah. I'll relay that then to Louis. Is that just for my own knowledge? Is that somewhere near? Is it Bedalin? Is that how you pronounce it?
It's further east of all of these locations.
Okay, gotcha.
We don't even have it on the map. I want to cut back to Mark. Your date is like having this wonderful time with you. You're trying all sorts of delicacies. You've seen some of the like cooking that happens here from when you were attending the dinner party that Ernst was throwing, but this is like the fancier version of, like, you were eating in like a poor peasant fishing rice town. This is like a small metropolitan area of like 20,000 people. They afford themselves some middle class. You're eating at the upscale version of like Red Lobster, essentially. But the whole restaurant has been bought out. Like, you two are the only ones eating here, and the whole staff is like waiting on the two of you. Nobility, which for you isn't that unusual because you are nobility, but they're also treating her like she's no. And at one point, she sets down her handbag, and a manila folder slides out of it, and she kind of slightly stuffs it back in her bag, but not. Oh, I'm sorry. I brought my work. Just some communication intercept. As you know, we have declared our village to be independent from the Capellan Confederation as long as this. Our magistrate has with. We've been keeping track of radio intercepts and movement.
I'm very sorry
cutting
to
out
interrupt,
slightly.
but
Yeah.
yeah, you're cutting out every
I'm
few
cutting
words of
out?
every sentence. Yeah.
Well, when did I start cutting out?
Maybe I only really noticed about 2 minutes ago when
Was
you were
it the
talking
bit
about
where you were look, yeah, I started to notice it when you were saying about the dossier.
Okay.
Every like
We'll
third
restart.
word was cut out.
It was
Is
it was happening a tiny bit before, but it was very like easy to track. And that last bit sounded a little more like it was like every fifth word was cutting out.
But how about right now?
You sound fine now, I think.
Seems to be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could unplug my mic, but it would take like 10 seconds to cycle. So she's getting up to leave, and she's talking about this dossier, saying like, our village has been declared neutral from the conflict here between the Capellan Confederation and the Free Worlds League. The magistrate has asked me to keep looking at signal intercepts and communications in the area. I just was bringing it home, but this is all very classified. You don't know what kind of info will be in here. Could you just look after my purse for me when I go to the bathroom?
Of course.
So she stands up and leaves to go to the bathroom. The manila folder is still like 10% out of her purse. And the whole waitstaff has disappeared. You are alone. The lights have been turned off except for the light that's directly over your table, giving you the most ambient. And you're getting this weird suspicion that the repeated requests for dates with Louis may have all been for an intelligence he was repeatedly ignoring.
Right.
The only question
that-
is, do you want what's in this folder, or do you not want what's in this folder?
That's the question.
That is the question.
I think... He's 90% sure this is some sort of trap. Probably isn't useful information for him anyway. And I think... Nah, he's a devious bastard. He'll have a look at it.
You open the folder, and what is in it is everything that Pascal just determined by looking at the maps and by doing an 18-hour grueling march to the middle of nowhere. All of that intel was all prepackaged here, and the Capellans that live in this town have been trying to get it to you for literally months.
I think he just looks over it and goes, "Oh. Oh.
Yeah, you can see this intel is all backdated to. It starts like the compilation data all starts on the day that the date with when who was first arranged, and then blown off for weeks and weeks and weeks. The magistrate would call, and you would just be like, "Oh, some other time, magistrate. Oh, look, I'm so busy right."
He just kind of looks around and goes, "Huh." We just kind of close the folder and probably like tuck it away something. I imagine he has a bag with him or something.
You're taking the whole folder with you?
Actually, no, he'd leave the folder. Actually,
Okay.
he just makes a note of everything that's in there.
As soon
So
as you've
this might be
conveniently
very
tucked the
useful
folder
information.
away, yeah, she reappears and is like tapping her head, just like pushing her bun back into place, and just like, "Shall we get dessert?"
I think that would be quite wonderful.
We cut to 2 days from now. The whole group is back together. We've got like your cheesecake sitting in the refrigerator, untouched, in the officers' quarters, and the four of you are seated around a table, talking about the intel you've gathered. Based on everything that happened in this episode, I think that the next episode is going to be a mech combat where you're ambushing this convoy.
I will say there are a couple of takeaways that Louis will take. The first of which, you saw the Immortal Warrior film?
It's more of a knockoff than anything, right?
First off, it was the trailer for the Immortal Warrior. What he actually saw was the movie Butterfly.
I love Butterfly World Tour.
He just goes, I mean, I didn't think much of it. Neither the trailer or the film.
Well, perhaps it requires a different sense. It is unfortunate, indeed, that the entire time the intel we just gathered was going to be handed to us. However,
if you all weren't
I did
so
not
averse to
know.
talking to ladies, this all could have been avoided.
I thought they were. I thought it was an intelligence operation, which it clearly was. Just, I did not think that it was going to be beneficial for us.
There's only one way to know.
Leone is just staring at you, Pascal. Dead inside.
Well, it seems like our next steps have been decided for us in many ways. We have an opportunity.
And I say we take it. Pascal's expertise in this area has been invaluable, and it seems like it has been verified by this intel. If we can, Pascal, you can point on the map where the preferred ambush point is. We can strike there once we marshal the men. With the sensors you've destroyed, we can travel across and abide the water with greater ease.
Out of curiosity, with Rahul looking over it, could he do his own criminal roll?
A criminal roll? What are you looking for?
I think he's just kind of backing up this information using his own knowledge of culture criminal.
Best
to
way to
understand if
smuggle
this is
things.
but this is the best plan to cut them off at this exact place.
Okay. I'd like intelligence, culture, criminal.
All right. Intelligence is 9. Culture criminal is 1. This is a flat roll. Nope, that's a 6.
This is a great place to smuggle goods.
He just kind of nods to himself. I like this plan.
Very good. With everyone in agreement, we can begin the plan, the operation, and I really need to get all of the information you guys have on our logistical stuff and why it seems to take forever for them to do anything.
How long do we have before we execute this, Commander?
I will make the report to our commander and get their blessing there. The new information we've gathered should be reported in, but my intent, within the week.
Will there be enough time for me to switch to the Hunchback?
Within a week and a half, yes.
It's crazy. I think you're the first commander of this base that has said I'm going to report to our commander. I feel like I should check in with our boss every once in a while.
Well,
Let's
yeah.
see if we're doing our job.
Look, he learned how to be in the military by reading the field manuals. He was like, oh god, I'm going to be in a war. How does one war?
Oh, I see. You've read the book War for Dummies, also known as Sun Tzu's The Art of War. Step 1.
Yes.
Your army needs food to live.
Good advice. Would never have guessed.
Peek to a
Oh,
great
yeah? He
Field.
wrote that passage because a bunch of people marched armies without food and were go get what you want, peasants, while we march. It turns out that in ancient China, that was a real fucking bad move.
Indeed.
To be fair, most of Pascal's tenure as that role was covering up Raoul's tenure as
Crimes.
that
Yeah,
role.
covering crimes. Yeah. Massive
For
corruption and
Rahul,
crimes.
it was doing crimes. For Pascal, it was covering up crimes. And for Louis, it's... Oh god, everyone...
Our job.
Yeah, I can understand why they couldn't do anything. It's because of the employees.
The post-credits scene of this show is the post-credit scene of the Immortal Warrior 7-2 The Heron, which is the Immortal Warrior who, again, is just the Immortal Warrior's stunt double who has been digitally altered in the same way that they altered with one of
You're
his
cutting
brothers.
out, I'm
They're
afraid.
cutting out now.
No!
No, I know.
I'll skip the Paul Walker anecdotes and cut directly to the Heron and the Frog. So he's down in a well, and she is standing above him with just one toe on the edge of the well while holding her hands like this and then balancing a sword atop her head. And she says, ha 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 ha, Immortal Warrior. You look as if you are just nothing but a frog in a well. Post-credit scene in. That's a Chinese
Immortal
proverb
Warrior
for
will
people
return.
at home.
In 7-3.
Louis is so excited to see the Heron and the Frog. Like, the cultural propaganda ones are so much more interesting than the basic Immortal Warriors, and the Immortal Warriors themselves are fantastic.
I think all of
He
them are
is the
propaganda.
ideal consumer. He's an MCU fan.
Okay, Bob. Let's have you talk us out here. This is your show after all.
Yeah, that's fair. So we do Gentlemen of the List once a month. AP's kindly come over here and run this for us. It's been a blast. We will probably see you sometime in late November, I assume, for the next one. If you're not familiar with this channel, we do a lot of Pendragon on here and occasionally some other games. Check it out. And you should definitely check out AP Gaming Reels. channel because he does a lot more of this. So if you like this, you should definitely check out his channel. I'll give you a shout out.
Specifically asked me to do an Immortal Warrior today.
I did, and I appreciate it.
Way too much time gathering my old Immortal ads up.
I wanted to do that for a while. I was like, it's time. It's time to do it. But let's do outros for everyone else. Is that fair? Maybe we'll end with UAP, so we'll do
Sure.
Thomas next.
Hello, my name is Thomas, and I have been playing Commander Ensign Louis Gabrielson. And he has learned that sometimes going on a date with someone isn't a terrible thing, even if it's been organized by intelligence operatives for espionage purposes. Sometimes that's what you're looking for in a lady. That has been me.
It's called the good trade. Now we'll go to Mark next.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. I was just checking out our handy dandy Discord. By the way, did you know we have a Discord? Come check us out. Lots of fun things on there, such as shitposting, memes, as well as notifications whenever we're going live, as well as new projects we are always working on. There's also Pendragon, which I'm sure Bob has gone into a number of times. We also do a vampire thing on there. So come join the server, join in the fun, and I hope to see you there. I've been Mark, aka the Cat's Meow, and I do a number of things myself. I'm currently running a Vampire the Dark Ages campaign, set on the Isle of Man, known as Isle of the Damned. We're currently at our 3rd episode, and tomorrow we'll be running our 4th episode. So I hope to all see you there, for those who are able to make it at the ungodly time for the Americans. Also, I hope you watch the VOD, which I have up on YouTube at my YouTube channel, which I'm sure there will be a link at somewhere. If not, I'm sure Bob will shout me out at some point. And yeah. Good to see you all. Hope you have a good night.
All right, and we'll close with AP. AP, what do you got for us?
Shrimp. Mantis shrimp punch so fast they boil the water around them.
That's good to know. I gotta look this up now.
It's very true.
I mean, we did spend a huge amount of time underwater this episode, so I just felt like we should have some water facts on top of all the smuggling and legal,
It's true.
Yeah.
Alright.
My favorite part about the Isle of Man is that it isn't actually formed of men, which truly would be the most horrifying island.
We've got a Siamese prince. We can make that happen.
Oh God. Yeah, you actually could. That'd be terrible.
Real Eldritch Horror abomination there. I'm AP Gaming Real, and I do way too much Battletech, and I'm here to announce my new show that is in pre-production, Battletech, Addletech, Below the Cutdown, which is loosely tied into Battletech's newest video game, MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, the Clans, or whatever it's called. But that game is about the clan bidding process, and it'll be a weird show where 3 people are make it, and then they will bid against each other. Only one of them gets to fight the mission, so the other 2 won't get to participate. And so it encourages all of them to take their units, throw as many away as possible, in order to force the other people to fail by going too low in the bidding, or going low enough that they themselves win. So we're going to see a lot of egoism, a lot of hype, and probably it's going to end.
That's fair. That's fair.
Why does that say hot vampires in chat? I was
It just
just
does.
concerned that maybe you heard my hot vampire rant.
No.
All right, people called it really unhinged.
That's how
Thanks,
you
I
know
appreciate you guys laughing because you hadn't heard it or you'd know. I was like, this is all I'm looking for in life, is a hot, busty, edgy vampire lady who will kill me by draining my blood. That's all I'm looking for, okay? But that for 5 minutes.
Listen, that's
Okay,
just
Hector
every
from
World of Darkness
Castlevania.
player, so you're good.
Oh no! First off, no, don't fucking call me Hector from Castlevania. Holy, I've never been disrespected this bad in my life. Hector from Castlevania. Oh no, Hector! I'm going to go see the sun. Oh, it's not as beautiful as I thought it was. Who the fuck do you think you? Who do you think I am?
Would you have thrown like a bedsheet over her head so she didn't burn, or would you not have let it get to that point?
I don't know, man. I probably wouldn't have let myself be whatever you want to call his situation with her. Is it Stockholm Syndrome? He literally convinced her to kill her. Is it double Stockholm Syndrome? Did they convince each other that they were just not worthy of life?
He didn't convince her to kill herself. She convinced him to let her kill herself.
Okay.
As if that's better, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just more
That
confusing.
academics would write papers about the dynamic that happened there, but I'll tell you that. If you didn't want to be compared to Hector, don't say the shit you just did about wanting.
But can't you imagine your blood being drained out by a hot vampire lady is all I'm saying?
Of course, I'm a World of Darkness player. It's my favorite system. Of course. I go to sleep at night dreaming of being murdered in that specific way.
That's weird.
Yeah, I'm saying that is weird.
You just needed to hear it from someone else.
Bob, please, you gotta pull us out of this nosedive.
Yeah, we're out of here now, folks. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Kill the stream!